Hello, welcome back to Animated Literacy. This is lesson number 39 from the Story, Song, and Action book. In our last lesson, you either learned about Gilda Goose or Griselda Green, or you might have learned about both characters. And both characters make the same sound and the same gesture. So whichever one you learned, put out your arms like this and pretend like you're gliding, and as you glide, go G. Now, if we use their gliding sound in our bells, instead of the bell going ding dong, what does their bell say? It goes ging gong ging, ging gong ging. And instead of Gilda or Griselda's drum going rat-a-tat-tat, what does it say? Put your arms out, gat-a-gat-gat, gat-a-gat-gat. Today we're going to be drawing a picture that we can label using their sound and their letter. But before we do that, I want to talk about the last drawing we did and about some things you can do to add to your drawings after we finish them in the lesson. So in our last drawing lesson, we drew a picture of a bus, and we wrote the word bus and put it in a circle because that's a noun, and tied a string to the bus. Could you show me the sounds we used for the word bus? Bowing, b, up, and surfing, s. Let's do those sounds together again. Bus. And what letters did we write to spell bus? B-U-S. Then we drew two different kinds of bats. We have the animal bat here. We have a baseball bat here. And we wrote the word bat and tied a string to both bats. Show me the sounds that you hear in bat. B-at. Again. B-at. And what are the letters that we use to spell bat? B-A-T. Then we started adding something new. We started drawing arrows to our picture. And here I didn't write a word for this arrow because I wanted you to do it by yourself after the lesson. Here I went ahead and showed what we do with those arrows. Those arrows are for words that describe. So inside the circle we wrote a noun, because nouns are those words we can trace around. And then here we wrote an adjective, and adjectives are those words that describe the noun. So black tells us about the bat. It describes it. Now, you can write those color words on your own without any help if you have a color chart. And so you may have a chart like this up on the wall to look at while you're doing your work with your pictures. And so you can choose any color you want things to be, look up at the chart, and then copy that word. But the thing you have to remember to do is if I wrote black bat, what color do I need to color my bat? It needs to be black. If I wrote red bat, so if red's pointing to my bat needs to be colored what? Red. If I put in the word yellow here, then I need my bus to be what? Yellow. But if I put blue, I need to color my bus what? Blue. So I have a page here that I've done after our lesson. So I took and I drew the picture of the bus again, and I drew the bat on the bus, and this time I put two baseball bats on the bus. And then I took and where my word is circled for bat, I decided I wanted this bat to be blue. So I have blue pointing to the bat and also to the color. And here I decided I wanted my bat to be red. So here's an arrow pointing from the word red to the word bat. And then I decided that I wanted my animal bat to be brown. So I looked at the color chart, found the letters for brown, and now it's pointing to my brown bat. Then I decided I want somebody to be riding in that bus. And so I put a picture of mom and a picture of dad riding in the bus. And then I decided I wanted my dad to have a hat. So I chose orange for the hat. And now when I looked at this picture, it kind of looks a bit red. So maybe I should have made it a little bit lighter color for my orange. Because you want to make sure whatever color is pointing to it, that you do it in that color. Then down at the bottom, I have a sentence. And this is kind of a special kind of sentence. A lot of classrooms where children are learning how to read have little books that have sentences that sound a lot like this sentence. And so you can actually learn to read those books without even having the book. So I'll take and write sentences just like the ones that are in those books. And then when you're really good at reading the sentence, we open the book and guess what? You can already read it. So this sentence says, I see 3 bats on the bus. And so if I wrote that sentence, you can copy that sentence, or if I write it on your paper, you can rainbow write that sentence, and then you can copy it and you can practice reading that sentence before you need to read it in one of the little books. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do with the drawing lesson after we have finished it. What we're going to be learning about today is what this little girl is chewing and blowing bubbles with. So what does she have in her mouth? Bubble gum. And this is a Skybrary book called I Like Gum. And this is about things that you like sometimes, but you may not like all of the time. And she likes gum some of the time. Let's see why she doesn't like it all of the time. So here's the first page in the book, and it says, I like gum, but not in my hair. So here she is looking in the mirror and trying to get that gum out of her hair. And here she says, and not on my shoe. Have you ever stepped in gum? Boy, it's not very much fun if you step in gooey gum and you try to get it off your shoe. And here's another one time she doesn't like it. She says, and not on my chair. Because if you sit down in the chair and it's got gum on it, where's that gum going to go? That's going to stick to your bottom where you sat down in the chair. There's a lot of good books and rhymes about gum. This is a book called Anna Banana. And it has all jump rope rhymes that kids might say while they're jumping rope. And this is a jump rope rhyme about gum. And it goes like this. So let's see if you can say it after me. Let's make a big bubble and sing and say this. Bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum, bubble gum. Chew and blow, chew and blow. Bubble gum, scrape your toe. Bubble gum, scrape your toe. Bubble gum, tastes so sweet. Bubble gum, tastes so sweet. Get that bubble gum off your feet. Get that bubble gum off your feet. So that's one that you might try jumping rope and saying at the same time. Let's try it without repeating it. Ready? Bubble gum, chew and blow. Bubble gum, scrape your toe. Bubble gum, tastes so sweet. Get that bubble gum off your feet. So that's kind of a fun one. This is another rhyme for bubble gum, and this book is called The Gum on the Drum. And this is kind of goes along with the first book that we looked at. Here's a bear who, like the little girl in the first book, likes gum. But it turns out he doesn't always like gum. He plays in a band, and in the book you can see all the places he plays. But then he shows you where he doesn't like gum. It says, no, not there. Where did the bubble gum end up? It ended up on his drum. Not on the drum, he says. So that's a good rhyming book about bubble gum. This is a poetry book from Dennis Lee, and the name of the book is called Bubblegum Delicious. And not all of the poems in the book are about bubblegum, just the first one. But the first poem is like this. Say it after me. Bubblegum delicious, bubblegum delicious, bubblegum delight, bubblegum delight, bubblegum de lovely, bubblegum de lovely in the middle of the night, in the middle of the night. Wrap you up in bubble wrap, wrap you up in bubble wrap, wrap you up in gum, wrap you up in gum, wrap you up in wonderful, wrap you up in wonderful, 'cause you're the special one, 'cause you're the special one. One more book about gum. This is a book about the history of gum, and this is a true story. And it tells us that gum has been around for hundreds of years, but not bubble gum. People used to make gum by getting the sap, the stuff that runs out of the tree, and kind of wadding it up and putting it in their mouth and chewing on the sap of tree, but they couldn't blow bubbles with it. Well, in this story, this is back in the 1920s, and there was a factory where they made candy and they made gum. But the gum they made, like other gum at the time, could not blow bubbles. And their factory wasn't selling enough gum and candy. So they decided we need to do something so that people will buy more of our gum. So they started experimenting to see what they could invent. Well, it turned out that they had an accountant there. And an accountant is somebody who does numbers. They like math. And so they add up how much it costs to run the factory and how much money comes to the factory to see how much money the factory is making. Well, they ended up setting a laboratory with their pots that they could cook things in and do all of their experiments right next to the accountant's office. And after hours, when everybody else left, he went in and started playing to see what he could do to invent something. And he worked a long, long time before eventually he invented bubble gum. And once he invented that, everybody wanted their bubble gum, and the name of the gum that they gave it was Double Bubble Gum. And so here is this is a drawing of the man, and his name was Walter Deemer. And he ended up not making very much money from it because the factory got the money. But he said that's okay because he had made children all around the world happy by being able to blow bubbles with their bubble gum. And so that's a little bit of the history of gum. Today I brought with me, this is really heavy, a gum machine. Now this gum machine has marbles in it instead of gum, so you couldn't chew that, but it's made to hold gum. And it has a place here where you can put a coin. You used to be able to put a penny in the gum machine, and then it was a nickel, and then it was a dime, and then it was a quarter, as gum kept getting more and more expensive. So after you put your coin in, you take this handle and you turn it. And when you turn it, the money drops into a little box inside, and the gum falls out right here, so you can put it in your mouth and chew it. So that's what a gumball machine looks like. And we're going to draw a gumball machine today. So if you take out your pen and on the count of 3, take the cap off, 1, 2, 3, turn it around, put the cap on the other end, we'll start our gum machine. So let's come down just a little bit from the top of your page and let's make a nice circle. Show me when you're ready for the body of the gum machine. I'm going to come in a little bit from my circle on this side, come in a little bit on this side, and then add a curve. So there's kind of the collar or the neck of the gum machine. Then we're going to come out to the side. So I'm going to flare out just a little bit. So I'm not going to quite go straight down, and then make a curve down here at the bottom. Now we need a place to put our coins into the gum machine. So I'm going to make a little curve here. That's where the coin goes in. And then like little wings here. And then put that into a little box, like so. Now we need a place for the gum to come out. So I'll put a circle here, and then a little collar down here. So there's where the gum falls out at the bottom of the machine. Now we're still missing something. What are we missing? There's no gum in this machine. So we're going to come up here and add some circles for the gumballs. So they kind of look like little balls, so that's why they're called gumballs. You can decide how many you want to put in there, and you can decide what colors you want to make them. So now let's write our word gum. Everybody say gum, gum. What sound do you hear first? G, for gliding. And how did Griselda and Gilda spell that? With a G. So we're going to start our G with a circle like this. Then after the circle, we're going to make a straight line down and put a curve at the bottom. Now we need the next sound. Say gum. What do you hear next? Ah, for Uncle Upton. And how does he spell his sound? With a U. So we're going to make a little curve. And notice that stays up tall where the G goes down below. Okay? What's the last sound in gum? Gum. Moving your magic mop. How does Mimi spell that? With an M And so there's my word gum, and since that's a noun, we'll put it in a circle and tie the string to one of the pieces of gum. What are the letters in gum? G, U, M. And what are the sounds? G, Now we're going to do as much rhyming as we have time for today. So we're going to add a word to rhyme. Now when we talk about rhymes, the rhyme part of the word starts with the vowel. So the first vowel in gum is and then the rhyme includes anything that comes after it. So the rhyme in gum is So I'm going to write a word, but I'm not going to write the whole word. I'm only going to write the rhyme, and then I'm going to have you guess to see if you can find out what rhymes with gum that we're writing here. So let's put a U with a curve, and then an M at the end. So what does UM say? Now let's see what we can draw that ends with I'm going to come to the side of my bubble gum machine. I'm going to make a curve here and curve all the way around and come back to here like that. Okay, so now let's see what it's sitting on. Now I'm going to make a straight line down here and a straight line here and stop just before I get to the bottom of my page. Okay, show me when you're ready for the bottom. Now I'm going to add a curve down here at the bottom. Now as we're drawing this, see if you can think what it is that we might be drawing. You've drawn this before. Now I'm going to put a curve here. I'm going to come down here and put a curve. Then I'm going to divide that into little squares, or almost rectangles. You can decide how many lines you want to put there. Now I'm going to take and put, this would be like a piece of rope that's going up and down, or a piece of cord up and down, and you can see how many times you have room to go up and down. What does that look like? We drew a picture of gum on what? Gum on the drum, like in our story. What does drum start with? D for dancing. And how are we going to make that? We're going to make a circle and then make a tall line going down next to the circle. So there's my D. What's the next sound in drum? Drum, drum. R for riding. How does a Rosie Raccoon spell that? With an R. So make a straight line down and give it a little hook. And there's my drum. Now later on your own, you can decide what color you want your drum and your gum to be, and you can choose color words from the chart, write those, draw an arrow, and then color it those colors. Well, let's try something else that we can rhyme with today. And so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to put my rhyme again. My rhyme started with a U, because rhymes always start with a vowel, and then an M, and that says But you know what? I made a mistake. I'm going to cross that out, because that's not what I wanted to do. Instead, I'm going to put a U. And now this time I'm going to put Griselda green or Gilda goose sound at the end. So I'm going to put a G. So there's my circle. There's my straight line down and my hook. So what does that say? Ugh. Can you put those together? Ugh. We're going to draw something that ends with ugh. So let's see what we can draw that ends with ugh. I'm going to make a small tall circle, then leave a space, make another one. So it looks like that. I'm going to go ahead and color in those. Okay. Now I'm going to make a curved line going from this circle over to this circle, and a curved line going from this one over to here. Okay, so now it looks like that. Starting to look a little like a face, isn't it? Now I'm going to make a curve here, and another curve here. So it looks like that. Okay, now I'm going to give it a little bit of a collar. So we're going to come around like this with a curved line, kind of like the same way we did over here for the drum. Now I'm going to go to the middle and I'm going to make a straight stick going down like this. Now I'm going to come back up here to this curve and make a curve coming down, and this curve and come down. Now I'm going to give it some antennas. So I'm going to come up with a line, up with another line, put a dot at the end. Now I'm going to give it some legs. 1, 2, 3 on this side with angle lines, and 1, 2, 3 on this side. So now let's see if you can tell what we drew. You can put some little dots here if you want. What did we draw a picture of? This is a bug. And what does bug start with? B. B for bowing. So make your straight line, add your curve. And we're not going to quite do the string yet because we're going to put our bug somewhere. So now let's take and let's come up here, and I'm going to make, oh, let's see, where shall I put my bug? I think I'm going to put my bug on something that goes kind of like this. So I'm going to make a curve like this, straight line down. Then I'm going to try to match this curve by coming up like this and up, and then connect them with a straight line. Then I'm going to put some fringe over here, on the edge. Then I'm going to make a little decoration going down here, just like some little X's. And then over here. What does that look like it's a picture of? This is a bug, and what is my bug on? A bug on a rug. What's the first sound in rug? R for riding. What's the next sound? For up. And what's the last sound? G for gliding. So here we have a bug, so tie the string to the bug, and our bug is where? He's on a rug. So we could have a bug on a rug, we could have gum on a drum, we could put our bug in a jug, or we could put our bug in a mug, and so there are a lot of different words that rhyme that we can draw. We'll draw some more rhyming words next time when we have more time. So I'll show you the rhyming words and we'll play with them a little bit when you come up for our next one. So on your own now, you can go ahead and put in some color words, and you can label the legs if you want, and the different parts of your picture. So thank you for joining me for that lesson, and I hope to see you in our next lesson where we will learn a new character, and we'll also learn how to do some more rhyming.